Welcome to the world of Zip System Building Enclosures, where we believe in striving for optimal air, water, and thermal management, no matter the region or climate. Because when you have the right products to do the right job the right way, the first time, you're building to a higher code, the Zip Code.
I'm Jake Bruton, and from the truck today, I'm in Virginia Beach with Jackson Andrews of Jackson Andrews Building and Design. And I thought, this is a really good conversation. We should record this because I think it's interesting. Let's do it now.
Let's do it.
Okay, so Jackson and I were just driving around and talking about some of the ways that his business operates versus my business. And the conversation about equipment and rental equipment came up. And I think that Jackson has a very interesting take on this. We should premise this by saying, like, we understand that Jackson gets to build in a market and a style or a class of home that a lot of other people don't get to do. That he is a premium product delivering company, and therefore you have clients that are premium clients. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay. That does not mean that what Jackson's company does is in any way unattainable for anybody else. So we're talking about rental equipment, everything from skid loaders to lifts to forklifts to crew member lifts, all the way down to a side-by-side.
Air movers, side-by-side, yeah.
So in my experience, smaller company, what we tend to do is we either work with subcontractors that own their equipment, or we rent the equipment for our team members to use that we need.
Yeah.
Which is basically what you guys are doing, except for you're owning the equipment.
Correct. And I'll start off by saying, like, we did the same thing that a lot of builders and contractors do. Like, to buy construction equipment, it is not cheap. Like, they're a significant cost. I would say we started looking at them as an investment. And where this really made sense for us owning our own equipment was when we had larger jobs that would require us to have equipment on site for longer periods of time. And we realized that renting equipment is actually really expensive as well. When you're using it for more than a week or a month, it can really add up. And when we were having jobs that had significant scopes of work, that we would need equipment for a long period of time, I quickly realized that this would actually be more cost effective for me to purchase equipment and then rent it back to our job sites. And at a very fair, if not more cost-effective rate than what the market rate is for rental.
So what you're saying is, let's say we need a Bobcat 2 days a month, and the rental on that Bobcat is $350.
Yep.
If we're spending $700 a month on rental fees for a Bobcat, that doesn't cover our Bobcat payment. That doesn't cover our skid loader payment.
Correct.
But the second we need a skid loader on site for 6 months at a time, forks, a brush for the street, and a box blade, and like all these things, and we have somebody on site that the project manager hops on it and does something with it every day, and it's a real asset to the job. Now we're paying a month's worth of the three. I realize it goes down. It's $280 or whatever in my market for the month for the skid loader for every day. Well, that doubles my skid loader payment for the month. That's how the rental yard is able to afford it.
Correct.
Is that the renting it out pays for it.
Yep. Picking it up, returning it. I mean, most rental companies are actually charging transportation fees, and quite, there's a lot of money that goes, additional cost into the rental side of it.
And what kind of challenges did you run into with insurance? I guess it's no real change because and maybe I'm speaking out of turn.
Yeah.
You're not renting it to yourself in a rental agreement. You're just charging the clients a rental fee for it, correct?
Correct, yeah. So now, for example, I doubt Aarow Building does this. We don't charge for hammers. Correct. There's just some tools that you need as a contractor. And so we don't, but there's above and beyond. Like, you might need a front end loader or a skid steer or telehandlers that are just kind of large pieces of equipment. And for those, we see that as like that you would normally build into a job for renting. I'm saying, we don't own these, but we're going to need these to complete this scope of work. So we need to rent it.
And that's in our contract.
That's in our
Our
contract.
contract says like non-customary tools.
Correct.
Something that a normal carpenter wouldn't normally own.
Correct. So what we started doing was we could actually save our clients money, and our projects be lower. And it does have a benefit for us. We at the end of a job, we well, even now we have assets, we have equipment that we actually get to keep and rent out. For us, one of the ways we do that, I think to be just more than fair, is we are always renting our equipment back for less than it would cost if we were to go to a company and rent it. So,
how do you handle that? Do you survey what the market is
Yeah.
supporting once a year or twice a year or something?
Usually quarterly, we're checking.
Okay.
We're going to kind of reach out to. Again, there's some. We don't own a piece of every single equipment, so we still have relationships with rental companies, and we'll say, hey, how much is a skid steer this size going for? And we're making sure that we are well under that rate to where. Again, we're not using, for us owning our equipment, it's not really. We want this to be an improvement for our job sites, an asset, not so much as a way to really make more money. It's really as a way for us to have the equipment we need, not be told something's not available. We can quickly move machines between job sites with our own equipment and trailering, and we can do it more cost effectively than if we were to have to do it with a rental company.
So I love that this didn't stem from a how can we juice the client for more money.
Yeah,
it stemmed from we need this piece of equipment and it's going to cost a ton for us to have it here. Can we rent that piece of equipment from ourselves for cheaper than what we can do it otherwise?
Yep.
And having been on your job sites and knowing your equipment, it's newer than most of the rental equipment. It's maintained because it's one group of folks that are the only ones that operate it. You have your vetted employees. I wouldn't surprise me if you had one or two guys that have not been trained on certain pieces that aren't allowed to do it.
Yeah.
But if it's a rental piece, it goes to whatever Yahoo wants to run the thing. And half the time I'm guessing it's no, we'll let you back it off the trailer, and then after you pull away, I'll figure out how the thing operates, because I've done that with rental equipment.
Yep.
And if you having your team being the only people sitting behind the wheel or at the controls of it, then your maintenance costs have to be lower than the rental yard. You do have some equipment that's big enough that you have to pay for transportation from time to time.
Yep, we do.
You guys have an 80-foot lift that I'm assuming has to go on a semi.
It does.
Either that or you're moving it at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
Just real slow down the street.
We may or may not have done that before.
Okay.
You can go anywhere if you have a flashing orange light, and a hard hat, and a vest on. So.
You could always stop and pull over and change a light bulb on a street light, I guess. So you get more reliable equipment. You get people that are familiar with that equipment, because every time you have an 80-foot lift, it's the same 80-foot lift.
Yep.
You experience the benefit of having clients pay for an asset, but first and foremost, you're cutting costs on your sites by owning that equipment yourself.
100%. I think that I think we want to be really good stewards of all the resources we're using on a project, and that definitely comes down to our client's budget and what they're spending money on. And for me, I don't ever want it to look like we have another business that is kind of just tapping their budget. And so for us, it is. I love the fact that if a client was ever to say, this piece of equipment, I know you're using all the time, but it's really kind of adding up. We can say, well, if we were to rent this, here it would we saved thousands of dollars over the course of this project because we use our own equipment. As opposed to renting it and then having the machine sit here.
I think that is the one thing that is key to the whole operation too.
100%.
If you were charging 10% more than the rental yard, I would be furious as a client.
I think it's fair to charge the same. It's we'd be paying it the same way. However, that is that's something that gives me anxiety of if a client ever wondering that, or man, if we're paying the same rate, maybe we get a brand new piece from a rental yard, or and so for us, we want to eliminate any possibility of that crossing a client's mind. So we're always going to be under market value to where it really is a savings, as well as the availability. We've got everything at our disposal when we need it.
Super smart.
Yeah.
Okay, Jackson, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't forget to sign up for the newsletter. Stay tuned. We'll probably have more content with Jackson Andrews and the guys. I'm in Virginia Beach for a couple days, checking out some of what they're doing. And don't forget to check us out on Instagram. Don't forget to check out Jackson on Instagram.
Sorry.
Oh, that's great. Have a good day.